In order, roll call, please.
Commissioner Babbitt?
Here.
Commissioner Gonzalez?
Commissioner
Commissioner
Gonzalez.
Is that,
Here,
yes?
here.
Commissioner Sad? Here.
We get everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't listening. I was waiting to see if Jimmy was going to respond. Okay, first order of business, approval of the minutes for June 6, 2017. What's the desire?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. First order of business, Gannon Golf Course update. Mr. Murphy, what's going on? Okay.
Season, new green superintendent's doing a great job. We got the greens better than I did. Doing a great job, everybody's happy with them, and so that's working out well. My dog's been doing a lot of work on the geese, and he's really working on them. I hold her up like this, and I go, look at those geese legs! Go get them! Put her down, it's hysterical to watch. 50 or 60 geese take off because this 9-pound terror is going after them. But she does a good job. She enjoys being up there, right, Lex?
No, she doesn't.
But other than that, things have been going well. We've all been done with the aeration, seeding and everything, so looking forward to a good fall. The power company is supposed to put in the 2 transformers on the pole there. We're still having power issues where it fluctuates, and even fluctuating down in the garage. When they put the lift up, the battery pack will go off on the computer. It's frustrating things like that. So it's really nothing that you can check out. I'm having our electrician, Bill Fogg, check it out as soon as they put the new transformers in to see where we're at. They're attributing all the stuff to the transformers, and I hope they're right, but they've been promising it all summer.
When do they plan on doing that work?
I thought a month ago.
Oh, so they haven't given you a date?
Not a date, no. They said the next, 2 weeks ago, they said the next 4 to 6 weeks, whatever that is.
They've probably all gone down to Houston. I know they sent a lot of trucks down there.
Yeah. So we're waiting on that, see if we can get that all straightened out. Pat asked me to remind you about the sprinkler system for future thoughts. Mark Mungin has asked about about if the city was going to spend money on those projects. He finally got his work all done in December, but my understanding the money was gone by then, so I don't know where we stand with all that. Maybe you can check on that.
How many quotes has he given us? I mean, is there 2 or 3 different projects? He's priced them all out individually?
The latest project was the 1-car path going all the way around 5 Green down to 2, 3, 4, 5, up that way, some mounding, some clearing out. It was a real nice project. I was really looking forward to getting that done last year. It'd be nice to get it done, this fall, but I understand money.
When is the optimum time to start that project?
You probably want to get it going. You could get it going by mid-October. A lot of it you saw, you could hide your seats in areas, the boundary that they were talking about. Irrigation, is a key thing. We work on it constantly. It's 1963. The system's really only good for 25 years. So, the city's done well by it. I still credit Gene Dooley for putting in a nice installation. They put all the pipe in infield mix, but it still has a lifespan.
Has Mark Mungin given all of his information to the DPW office, do you know?
I believe so, yes.
Lisa, are you aware of anything happening right there?
I had asked Mark, and Mike Donovan said it was under his contract to hire the irrigation contractor. I thought that would have been nice to get the irrigation design so you had it in your pocket if money became available in the future, or if the city decided to do some bonding or something.
Yeah.
Probably for that cost, you're looking at 1.8 to 2 million, so we probably would be doing some bonding.
Lisa, can you talk to Andy and set up a meeting so him and I can get together
Sure.
and to talk about some of this stuff, find out where it's at, so. Okay.
Things seem to be going pretty well. We had a men's and ladies tournament this weekend, and they played on Sunday, and everybody's complaining about the rain.
They played Sunday?
Well, the Deutsche Bank played down there at the TPC in Norton. So.
Didn't they finish up on Monday, though, down there, the
Well,
TPC?
that's just the way it always goes on Monday.
Oh, okay.
That's just a normal stuff.
So they played a full 18 on Sunday down at the Deutsche Bank down there?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Same as Gannon, you know. There's a lot of complaining about that. I guess that the winners probably were happy.
Did they have carts out and stuff?
Yeah, yeah. Wasn't that bad, really. We only got about a half inch of rain. Things have been so dry. Pat was talking to me Friday how dry it's been. You know, the last couple of weeks of August been very dry. It's been cool, but it's been very dry.
Yeah.
Whatever doesn't get hit by the sprinklers is bronze.
Oh, I know, plus, just the digging around in my yard, I mean, the dirt is like powder underneath the surface, there's nothing there.
Looking forward to a good fall, getting things
So weather-wise, for the total golf season, it's been a good weather-wise year for golf? You didn't lose much, but early on?
Early on, you know, we were down a lot in the spring. And then things have leveled out through the season. It was pretty much mirroring last year, you know, once we get into June. So that's good. So you lost the spring, but you never get that back, so it is what it is.
Okay.
We were down members. We had put that into Andy in an email. Chris explained, I don't know if you
Yeah, I saw it, yeah.
Yeah, explained everything. It's
Yeah.
a lot of modern art things.
Well, it was, where the check went, they didn't understand what had happened. I mean, as soon as I saw it, the explanation from Chris,
Made sense.
I understood. Just for the edification of everybody, the final payment was made, and it was discounted, I forget what the number was. What was it, about 7,500, 25? The reason was because when we gave them permission for the increase the rates, we said that we wait to see what the season was, and we would adjust it one way or the other. So they had paid the amount agreed upon, but then the membership didn't take in as much as it was projected, so they discounted the final payment. So there was some confusion over why that amount wasn't paid. So that's what the explanation was,
That
so,
also could be related to the weather.
yeah.
You know, guys, oh, geez, I don't want to come up with the cash, and, you know, raining
Yeah.
every weekend, you know, that sort of.
What's membership at now, do you recall? Yeah. Is it 500, 600,
470 or something.
470? Yeah. Any questions for Mr. Murphy?
No.
Just about his trees, we'll have to check on the trees with Andy.
Not I want to hear.
Some Mark Mungeon email.
Yeah, it should be in those projects that
Yeah.
Mark has bid out, so nothing's happened yet, so my eye's on that one, so. Okay, well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you, have a good night.
Item number 2, platform outreach request. How do you say your name? Ahim? Enyumen. So you want to use the common, the gazebo area to sponsor an outreach and family-oriented event from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday, the 23rd. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the event?
Well, so what we're organizing, we work with, maybe we pick a church and work with a church, and we also do sponsor missionary events. We are religious related organizations, so we preach the gospel, and that's what we basically do. When we do that in a community, what we do is we come together, we bring donated items. Typically, we stick to clothing and canned foods. Canned foods or non-perishable foods
Yes.
in general. We typically stick to those two, and we bring those in. We do play music. We have maybe a dance performance or a short drama scale as well. We do those things, and we talk to people about the gospel, and we share with them what we brought.
Okay. Are you going to need bathrooms or?
Yes, we will need bathrooms and power sources.
So you, You had a conversation about that already? Okay, so we don't discuss that. And you will keep the sound down, so it's just for your benefit, and not so blasting the neighborhood out? Sound-wise, you're gonna have amplified sound?
I believe yes.
Okay, so
So
that's our only
something
caution,
I
is to just,
keep it down.
yeah, just for your benefit, not,
Right.
okay, there any questions?
It's just another event on Saturday, Stop the Violence, it's their annual.
Yeah,
3
So
o'clock.
he has to be off the premises
by-
by 3:30. Yeah,
That's
cleaned up and off by 3:30.
okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Good luck.
Okay, you're all set. So you'll communicate with the office and,
Okay. All right. Thank you.
okay, number 3, Lisa Tobin, Greater Lynn YMCA, request to use the Lynn Commons across from the library for June 19th, from June 19th to October 31st. For, have they been using
It's
it
like
right
a
along?
boot camp.
Yeah, it's a boot camp for the
It was just
YMCA.
an oversight.
Okay, is there a
So
motion
they're
to approve that?
already I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Mary Gatlin and Mackenzie Mack, and I assume that's you two, huh? Community Gardens, Lynn Food and Fitness Alliance, okay,
Couple maps of the gardens, just to give you
okay.
what's going on.
Thank you.
I'm Mary Gatlin, and I am the Community Garden Network Coordinator with Lynn Food and Fitness Alliance. And this is my first growing season with the organization and working with the gardens here, but I've been really excited to see how much community support there is, and frankly, demand for more garden space, more places where people can have their own gardens. What we're here to ask you about today is potentially starting a new community garden at Warren Park, which is located on the southwest side of Lynn Commons, a new community garden at Berry Park, and then expanding the existing community garden at Ames, which has currently 30 beds. So I thought I could walk you through very quickly kind of what we're thinking about. The first document that you have looks at Warren Park. You can see kind of a satellite image of where the proposed garden space would be. Right now, it's just a very unusable tennis court space, I believe. The food project has offered to provide materials and compost for building out garden beds. Right now, we have 4 gardeners who have already committed and turned in their paperwork for garden plots there. And we're thinking if we built 12 beds, it would be pretty easy to find enough community support and people who wanted to have garden plots there. We are still trying to figure out what the water situation is, so obviously we wouldn't have any build out until we have determined an appropriate water source.
This is adjacent to where Leo, is it Leo?
The Leo Head
Yep.
Start, yeah, we've
Yeah.
been in communication with them.
Yeah,
in
I
regards.
reached out to Leo. I'm waiting for them to get back to me to just set up a meeting. I've emailed her a couple times, but the hope would be to use their system to get it to the tennis court. I have also had someone from Blue Cross Blue Shield approach me, who has a small grant of $2,500 to offer to the city for irrigation. He's in the community gardens he's interested in, so the first step obviously would be talking to Leo
Yeah.
and seeing how we could work with that, but that's an option that we're hoping to use.
I believe the next document is kind of where we have mapped out where we want these initial 12 beds. So I went by the site and I've been kind of keeping an eye on where we've got good sunlight, and that looks like prime spots pretty much. Some of them could be additional, like larger sizes than what we've had at Ames Garden. So most would be 4x8 plots, which seem like a pretty good size for someone who's kind of just figuring out how much they want to garden and how much they're willing to commit to. A 4x16 plot would obviously be a little more expensive for the whole gardening season, but would also allow someone who really has a gardening plan and an enthusiasm for it to expand beyond what they've been doing.
Refresh my memory on how do you charge for the plots? I know what they pay an annual fee.
Right now, I believe there's a minimum cost of $25 per plot, and that's what we've been charging at Ames Garden, which is the one that I'm most familiar with. David Gass runs Cook Street Garden, and I believe his plots are a little more expensive, but I don't know what his price structure is for those. And it covers the gardening season. The next page takes you to Ames Community Garden. And this is a satellite photo that's a little outdated, so you can see the yellow is where we actually already have an additional 10 beds. The red is where I'm proposing putting 5 more beds. We've definitely had a strong interest in people wanting to garden here. I've got already an application turned in for next season from someone who lives adjacent to the garden.
Those parking spaces we're seeing, that's from the Franco?
Oh, you know, I'm not as familiar with what
Is that
that.
Franco?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a community building, right?
Yes, the end, that's all,
Okay,
yeah.
yes. And we're hoping that in an effort to make this more really of a community feeling space, we could dedicate 3 of those new beds to the shelter that is adjacent to this park. There's a family shelter, and people have expressed an interest in gardening there, but they have very limited resources, so I thought it'd be a great way to get the community more involved, invested, and have resources for them available. Then, the last page takes us to an overview of Berry Park and the space that we're proposing for the community garden there. We have had a number of neighbors indicate that they're interested, including, I believe, the owner of Old Time Italian Cuisine. No one has committed yet, and I think it might be a matter of if you build it, they will come. I think if we said we've got approval for a garden here, who wants to sign up for a plot, we could easily fill probably 6 beds here. Again, we're in a situation where we don't have the water figured out just yet, so I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but we've got a couple good options.
If this board gave approval, when would you expect to get started on these?
The food project's budget overturns in October. Right now, they have 20 beds left in the existing budget until October, so it would really be on their schedule when they, so we would get a certain date, they load, so take Warren, for example, they pick a certain date, and as long as everything's worked out, we'll open the gates, they'll bring the compost in. They do the labor as well with their youth.
Yeah.
They build the beds and so on. But if we got to a point where maybe we did have interest in Barry and their rollover wasn't, we would wait. But if it was past the October deadline,
Yeah.
the date's kind of on their schedules, which is what we're working on.
Lisa, a couple of these I see you're targeting tennis courts, correct? So what are the issues going to be before we move ahead on?
Warren Street, there's no issues because that's not utilized at all.
Warren Street, there's no issue.
So,
It's not even usable.
no, it's not even, yeah.
Okay.
It's just.
What
so
about the
that's
one
why
at
we-
Barry,
that's
what
why.
about the one at Barry Park?
Barry Park one, we'd probably have to do like the middle court area between the tennis court and
And
the
the-
lot.
So when you're looking at the yellow rectangle, what is that?
Yes.
The appropriate siting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, has the counselor been informed of?
Counselor Walsh is in support of it.
Yeah.
He asked us to write a letter of support for it back in June, which we did before the car commission at that point.
Okay. So we're not gonna run into any neighborhood issues if we, all of a sudden, they see a community garden built on a tennis court?
So they're in support, right?
Yeah, there was, as I think Councilor Walsh put it, there was a neighbor who didn't like the skateboarding that was going on there.
Yeah.
He liked that less than the community garden, so he's all for the community garden.
The lesser of the two evils.
The lesser
Yeah,
of what he
exactly.
sees.
So there had only been one like slight complaint, and that was one in the battle of what would be a better option.
Right now, the tennis court it's just empty. Kids use it for skating and biking.
Now, if you do these sites here, eventually, would you be putting fencing up around that too?
He's fencing.
They are already fenced.
Well, they're fenced in a broad perspective, I mean.
Oh, around like the small garden bed areas?
Well, I'm just like, this footprint here, there's nothing separating these two courts here, right? The basketball court,
Which one are you talking
the
about?
one in
The
Barry?
Barry Pond.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, there is actually fencing that separates them.
Oh, there
Yeah.
is, okay.
Yeah, all of the sites are individually fenced and would have an easy access point.
We're also trying to work with the night school to get some lockable tool sheds made, because I have it in the budget to possibly do that, and possibly get some kiosks for the, like, Ames Garden has a lot of Bhutanese gardeners, so when we do community events, the community outreaches, different
Harder to
approaches
reach
need to
them.
be taken,
I
so
think
a
we approved the
kiosk.
kiosk for Ames, didn't we? Tammy?
I might have, an email went.
Yeah, I remember something, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you, maybe you
So
asked me about.
find the community enthusiasts to
Yeah.
build it, I think that's all.
You guys got any questions about this, or any
No, I
questions?
think it's good.
Yeah. Jimmy, any questions?
Jimmy, any
Nope.
questions?
Okay, is there a motion to approve? Okay, make a motion, you second over here.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Please go to Facebook
Good luck.
and like Lynn Community Garden. Just started it up about a month ago. About 90 followers so far.
Wow.
So people are excited.
Good.
Thank you.
okay, have a good night, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Good luck.
Lisa, can you just give us an update on what's going on at Keeney with the lights and all of that kind of stuff? I've seen a number of emails go back and forth and,
So, everything's on hold right now because of money.
money. What have they done there for all the issues we had? Do you know has any of the work been completed?
Nothing has done.
Okay, nothing. So is there any solution coming along or no?
It's money
Okay.
situation, yeah, where they're gonna get the money to take care of the clubhouse.
Okay.
There's a lot of money involved.
And is that the same with the lights also?
The lights, they're gonna work out with the contractor, so
Okay.
hopefully soon.
Hopefully
It's getting
so.
dark.
It is getting dark. Okay, is there anything else to come before the commission? Motion to adjourn?
Make the motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
We stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.